I first started working for the Chief of Naval Operations, Vern Clark, after he made my book, The Power of Alignment, required reading for all the admirals in the Navy. And when I asked him, why did he do that? Why is alignment required reading for all the admirals? He said, it's my number one goal. And when I asked him further, why is it your number one goal? He said, in my business, second place is a terminal disease. And that really stopped me for a moment. And I realized there are other businesses as well that have that same kind of imperative to align, that feel as strongly as he did about alignment. Healthcare being one of them. And I think the reason that alignment is such a poignant concept to leadership in healthcare and in the military is the price of misalignment is so high. You never want to go there. So alignment is a driving concept, and what I'm learning more recently is, in today's business environment, a lot of CEOs are starting to sound like Admiral Clark. They too realize that second place for their businesses could be a terminal disease. The complexity of business today is such that alignment goes beyond simply internal alignment, one department with another, but also between companies, between entities that are forced to now act almost as virtual organizations that are totally dependent on each other. And therefore we talk a lot about, at least in the book, the enterprise effect. How do you get one or two, or sometimes even more than one or two organizations to operate effectively together as if they were virtual, as if they were one organization, and to be able to do so and adapt so rapidly? Alignment as a concept is 30 years old. There's 30 years of empirical research showing that aligned organizations outperform their competitors by every major financial measure. But 30 years ago, no one dreamed of the kind of technology that could support the idea of driving alignment. And so web-based technology, web-based measurement systems, web-based information systems are all mechanisms that leaders can use to bind their organization together, to make them coherent, and to drive organizational alignment. And with alignment comes business success. 10 years ago, when I wrote The Power of Alignment, it was the first book out on the topic, and it became a best-selling book. In those 10 years, social media, web-based technology have permitted organizations to drive alignment in a way I never dreamed of when I wrote that book. Now in the new book, Rapid Realignment, the lessons learned over 10 years of actually applying alignment concepts to business, government, healthcare are that leaders can now communicate, interact with their own organizations in ways they could never do before using technology. There are some wonderful organizations of companies and businesses that are doing this well. Not surprisingly, companies like IBM, you'd expect web-based technology to come from places like IBM, but also companies like Walmart, Procter & Gamble, FedEx, a long-standing client of mine, uses blogs, information technology, again, web-based measurement to assess how well and how aligned they are doing, not every quarter, not every year, but almost every day. In the case of FedEx, it's an everyday occurrence, measuring their progress and measuring their alignment daily. The way I define alignment is really with two core concepts, vertical alignment and horizontal alignment. And they represent competencies, organizational competencies. Vertical alignment. Do you have a clearly articulated strategy, and are you able to rapidly deploy it? Rapid is the operative word because strategies change. And when you deploy that strategy rapidly, are you able to deploy it to people who are capable of executing the strategy? Because strategies are executed from the bottom of an organization, not the top. So vertical alignment is an important and powerful concept when it comes to alignment and organizational effectiveness. Horizontal alignment is that link between the customer and your organization, the value chain that extends from the customer through your organization. And there are ways that you can help your organization become more customer-centric. And in my view, it starts with a series of questions, interactions that exist between your people inside your organization, asking themselves questions like, what's most important to our customers? How can we delight them? What are the best of the best doing relative to what would delight your customers, and so on. Then if you take and extend that idea of a series of interactions horizontally across the organization, you can then begin to think about, well, what about two organizations? What about the idea of partnering? customer, supplier, all in the interest of the final customer. And the experiences that I write about in the books have to do with companies like Walmart and Procter & Gamble. What happens when you bring the bosses of both of those organizations, the late Sam Walton, John Pepper, Procter & Gamble, bring them together to talk about it in a dialogue with that similar kind of dynamic of how can we operate that's win-win for both of us and especially win-win for our customers. A couple of points come to mind whenever I think about making a presentation. First of all, I take it very seriously, even though I try to use humor a lot in my presentations. But there's a lot of preparation behind each one of those. And part of the preparation to me is reaching out to the client, reaching out to the customer prior to the presentation, trying to learn something about the dynamics, the issues, the challenges that the customer is facing so I can become an agent of that organization. And I try to adapt most of my presentations to the industry and, if I can, to the actual company or organization that I'm speaking for in my presentations. So it's pre-work, homework, and outreach long before I ever get up to the podium.
It's a human vision, legacy we want to leave behind us.